That makes sense.
Jen's history knowledge is incredible. She can tell you stories about...
Go on. Go on
Oh,
with
don't
you.
be so demure,
Don't
Jen.
be so demure. Well,
I'm just a flower.
You're just a tiny
No,
flower.
Jen has got
Yes.
a lot of knowledge about stuff. She's really great that way.
Who calls you to investigate?
Scared people.
Scared people. And what do they say to you? Give me an example.
Well, they have things happening in their house that they can't explain. They may have something bumping and grinding at night, or they may actually have children that see things.
Yep. People have been choked.
There's a lot of variables about people's experience with paranormal things, and they don't really have an answer for it.
Right.
So, you know, we're very well known across Canada, and we're probably the best known ghost hunting team in Vancouver,
We're
for sure.
actually internationally known too.
And
You belong to an organization called TAPS.
TAPS, yeah.
Which stands for?
The Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Yeah.
And who watches over you
Nobody.
as far as
Me.
being legitimate?
Me.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a fine line between being right off the cliff and paranormal. Yeah. So if I call you, I want to make sure that you're not some weird...
Flakes.
Flakes or fakes or somebody who's like way out there. If I'm going to invite you into my home, I want to make sure I can trust you. That's really the bottom line.
We're recognized by the Canadian government, our libraries and archives. They don't normally put that out. The libraries and archives is a body within the federal government that recognizes people that provide a service.
Right.
We don't charge money. I personally feel it's immoral to charge for what we do because we have no way to really prove this one way or another. And honestly, when people are really frightened, what I want to bring to them is maybe some measure of comfort, and we're often able to do that.
One thing we do is when someone does call us, we go on what is called a preliminary investigation. And what that does is it establishes a connection between, well, let's say the caller, the person, the client. We don't really charge, but we also check them out as well as they're checking us out. First of all, we go there to find out if their need is really a real thing, right? Are they on drugs? Is there drugs in the house? Is the person maybe have a bit of a mental problem or whatever? So we check each other out.
Or more than a bit?
Yeah.
A mental problem?
Yeah. And if,
yes, I understand.
Or even financial scam, you know, to have us come by and then call a producer in Los Angeles and say, the local paranormal group just said, we've got a ghost, and maybe try to make a movie of the week. I mean, the Amityville Horror, for example, was nothing more than a scam.
Right. They put jam underneath the bed springs.
Did they?
Yeah, to get flies in the room.
Think of the horror movies, some of the weird horror movies, the poltergeists and...
That's Hollywood to some degree, for sure.
Yes.
Things do happen, but I mean, that's show business, right? But usually ghost hunting is can be quite boring.
Yeah, just
You sit there for hours and hours and hours, and all of a
happens.
sudden nothing happens, and you're ready to pack up and say, we're getting out of here, and all of a sudden a can flies off a counter somewhere, right? We've had that happen. We've had a box lid fly off of something, right? And they say, hey.
Is this in the night or in the day or any time? Is a ghost more active at night than in the day, or does it matter?
We think they're probably active all the time. We think that why they're noticed more at night time is that's usually nowadays, and historically, everybody's returned from working from the fields in the old days and from the office nowadays. And so people are home in the evenings, and that's when they're noticing things because they're home.
Well, how many types of ghosts are there? I was reading up because I knew the two of you were coming on, and there was one called an orb or orbs.
Orbs.
Shadow ghosts, streamers. What does it all mean?
Well, first of all, if we were to all accept, for example, that there are ghosts, then these are classifications of how ghosts
manifest themselves.
An orb is the little ball of light that you see whizzing around a room. This can actually be seen by the naked eye, and people often will tell me they're seeing little flying balls around their living room going around like this. A streamer is the same thing actually, except that it's got a longer kind of glow behind it.
Like a comet.
Like a comet.
Like a comet, yeah.
Really?
Ecto mist, not to be confused with ectoplasm, which is stuff that's coming out of the medium's body, and I really don't know if that's real or not. Ecto mist is kind of a smoke that people will actually see moving around like a little bloody cloud in your house. They'll see this little cloud going here and going there, and they're like, freak out. Then there's the apparition, which is when you visualize or see somebody that's actually looks like a person, and they've died.
Like a spirit.
Yeah, like just what you think of when you think of a ghost, you think of a person.
Do people see specific details when they see a spirit?
Yeah.
For instance, do they say, it was my father?
Usually, yeah.
It is my child.
They're identifiable.
They identify specifically.
Yeah.
Not always.
Whenever people have said, well, actually, you're right, but not always. I remember a place over on West 37th in Arbutus, where the gentleman, he owns a meat packing plant. So he's a very, he's a businessman. He's very competitive and savvy. He walked into his kitchen one morning and he saw by his sliding doors just a pair of feet standing there facing him, and he just
with legs.
Legs.
Okay, not just shoes.
It was just bare feet, actually, just to the calf.
Feet.
Just standing there in his kitchen. And he dropped his coffee. He just freaked out and he called us.
It's certainly enchanting, but it also makes you feel if you leave tomorrow, you may not completely go away. Who stays and who doesn't? Have you any idea? Do you know what I mean?
I have theories about it.
Yes, you're dead,
but
theories. You don't know you're dead. So you hang around.
The one thing I'd want everybody to be really clear about is that we're